Tempest is a hand-built tube amp that features a single channel with a switchable gain stage, a post-phase inverter master volume control, a tube-driven 3-spring mechanical reverb, and an incredibly transparent effects loop. The clean channel, without the gain stage activated, is based on a classic 60s black panel clean tone with more authority and punch. The gain stage comes after the clean channel in the signal path, which is a concept borrowed from a highly revered boutique amp builder. The Tempest is available in a head format at 50 or 100 watts. I have the 50-watt version here today. The Tempest is also a partnered release with PRS and Sweetwater, and the black paisley covering is a Sweetwater-exclusive. That's the overview of the amp, but really, this amp is a finely tuned machine that, maybe more so than any other amp I've played, reacts and sounds differently depending on what you put into it and how you set it. It sounds big, bold, and punchy, and every guitar retains its voice, every drive pedal shades it just a bit differently, and even minor adjustments on the controls can make a huge difference. It took me a little while to find the various sweet spots with different guitars, and I had to let go of some preconceived notions I had about how I thought the amp would sound and respond and how I should set it. I even went through a couple of different speaker cabinets. Now this one, to my ears, makes the amp really shine. It's a PRS Grissom with Celestion V30s, which adds a nice spot in the mid-range. Now the back of the cabinet is ported, and the ports are covered with grill cloth. Now that lets the low end breathe, which again, for what I was looking for, makes a nice difference. Looking at the controls, the main thing to know is that they all work together. Volume is the main input stage, and getting that set is crucial since it feeds the tone stack, the gain stage, and the output side. Now it has a wide range and can go from very clean, even with higher output pickups, to edge of breakup. Now I like finding the spot just before it breaks up, and I can hear it pushing the EQ, especially in the mids. The treble control is unique in that above about halfway, it starts cutting the low end while still increasing the highs and never gets too sharp, so kind of like a tilt EQ. The bright switch is subtle, but adds a really nice sparkle at the very top end. The mids have a wide Q and sound focused at the lower end of the spectrum, so it's a very warm mid control. I'm keeping the bass control pretty low, especially at higher master volume settings, because to my ears, this amp really pushes in the low end. The gain stage is foot switchable and fed by the main channel. It has a lot of gain potentially, but I like it on lower settings where the amp's articulation is evident. Now with every guitar there's a spot where the notes have a nice bloom. You can use the output control to balance the level between the clean and gain sounds. Now there's a lot of flexibility there too, but I find that I'm staying in the upper range of the control and staying near unity gain with the clean channel. The Tempest responds to drive pedals the same way it does different guitars. I have a Keeley Noble Screamer, which is a combination of a tube screamer and a Noble's ODR1. Now I'm finding that I like the flatter EQ of the ODR1 on the clean side and the TS push mids on the gain side. I've switched to a 335 here just for a change of sound, but I found that these settings have a similar effect on a lot of different guitars. So ODR1 on the clean side, TS on the gain side. The Reverb is tube-driven, 3-spring, and foot switchable. Now it's not splashy or boingy, and even at higher settings it just puts some air around the notes. The master volume control is post-phase inverter, so you're getting a more accurate picture of what the amp sounds like as you turn it down. Now, that being said, part of the magic to my ears anyway is the sound of the power section being pushed, but even bearing that in mind, the master gives you one more point to fine-tune the sound and response. The effects loop is a solid-state design, MOSFET driven, and incredibly transparent. There's a return level, so regardless of the level coming from your effects, the output section of the amp can receive the proper level, which, as you've heard, is one of the critical aspects of the magic in this amp. Additionally, when nothing is plugged into the effects loop, it's completely out of the circuit. Now, I like amps with a hard bypass option on the effects loop, and this makes it really simple. It's there if you need it, it's out of the way if you don't. I have a Keeley Halo in the effects loop now. The tubes in the power section are TAD Redbase EL34s. Now there's 2 in the 50 watt and 4 in the 100 watt. And the preamp tubes are JJ ECC83S. There's 3 of them in the preamp section and a single JJ ECC81 phase inverter tube. To showcase the point that every guitar retains its voice with this amp, I'm going to compare 3 very similar guitars. My PRS 594 with McCarty III Pickups, Mitch Gallagher's Les Paul Custom with Custombuckers, and a friend's Les Paul Standard with slightly underwound pickups from ThroBak. Now all 3 are great instruments, but you'll see that they affect the amp differently. The reason I feel that this amp is a finely tuned machine is because every part and component was chosen for a specific reason to work together for a specific outcome. It's the cumulative knowledge and experience of Paul Smith, Doug Sewell, and the whole amp team at PRS taking their time and considering and testing everything, with the guitar and amp buying team at Sweetwater weighing in at crucial junctures. Now the Tempest is a big collaboration over a long period of time, with the goal being the best sound, performance, and build quality, period. I had the opportunity to chat with Paul about the Tempest, so let's hear from the man himself.
Don!
Paul, the Tempest!
We spent a lot of time on this amplifier, and you guys showed up and voiced it your way. There's a lot of parts that you can't get to from the outside. I mean, clearly you can adjust the mid-range of the amp, but you can't decide what value it's centered at. You can't decide what kind of capacitor we used on the bright switch, which, by the way, we found one that sounds usable. You can use that bright switch.
I know, it doesn't take your head off. It's really nice, man. It just puts a nice little sparkle on the top of everything, which is what it's supposed to be.
But not ice picky, it's musical.
Right.
We spent 2 years just on the output transformer.
It shows, though. It really does, because one of the things that was the most interesting to me is that no matter what guitar you put in it, the guitar still retains its voice.
We found a magic transformer. If you go through old Marshalls, old Fenders, certain years or certain ways, and everybody likes 68 plexis, especially the 50 watt ones, right?
Right.
People like 66 deluxes. They like 66 twins. And there are certain years and certain things that were just great. Super reverbs, that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, Bassman, that's a whole nother story.
We found a magic 50 watt transformer from an old PA amp. We had one. After buying 10 old Marshalls, we had one that we really liked. So we took it apart. We measured all the windings. We took it apart turn by turn, and how it was layered, what kind of wire it was. And then the laminations were not anything we'd ever seen. We had them tested. What is this stuff? And the report came back, and my jaw was like, you're kidding me. It was not what you think. It certainly wasn't the grained stuff that's M6 they use now. No way.
Man, that's so weird, because it's like, well, who made that original
so we
transformer?
Did it was made by, the one we tested was made by Drake. But the frequency response was this beautiful high mid-range curve. It slowly rolled off in the high end and slowly rolled off the bass. But not that the bass went away or the high end went away. It's that it sounded so musical.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated. And so this has one of those transformers. And you guys bought 50s and 100s, and we wound the 100 the way the 50 was wound.
Oh, okay.
We didn't wind the 100 the way the 100s were wound. They were wound differently.
Right, right.
So
you wanted that same thing just scaled up.
Yeah, just scaled up, right. But that's the beginning of a long, long story with this thing.
One part. That's one part.
Well, think about it for a second, Don. It's this part into 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 this part. It's a series event.
Exactly.
You can't mess up any of it. But how the amp's laid out is really important.
So what are the basic layout of guitar amps?
Let's start with Fender, I mean, originally they were radios, then they looked like radios, and then they started to add reverb and not have and not have tweed on them.
Right.
But if you think about a deluxe reverb, and you think about a super reverb, a deluxe was like 20 watts and 8 ohms. It didn't have the mid-range control. It was set.
Right.
And the bright switch was always on, so they didn't put the bright switch on. They were very close. Pro reverb and a super reverb, very close. They just have different output transformers. Because what mostly was happening was Fender was changing whether it had a mid-range control on it or changing the speaker content. A super reverb had 4
Right.
10s, and a pro reverb had a different thing, and twin reverb had a different thing.
Right.
For me, it's basically kind of the same circuit. The distortion on most Fender amplifiers is after the tone control. So you're changing the tone of the guitar with the tone controls, not the distortion. On a Marshall, which was fashioned after a high-powered tweed twin, when you're playing with the tone controls, it is messing with the distortion because the tone controls are after some of the distortion.
Yeah, there's some gain on the front side, yeah.
And so that's a different layout. And then what Dumble did was he had almost a dual showman, just very simple front end. He changed the tone controls to be in parallel, not some of them are in series. And then he added a gain stage, 2 half tubes afterwards that you could click in and out, which is almost like putting a distortion pedal in the loop. Right?
Yeah, you got to have a pretty robust distortion pedal if you're going to put it in the loop.
Think
right?
about it. You're changing the tone of the guitar. You're not changing the tone of the distortion. Right? And this is laid out more in the Dumble world than it is in the Fender or Marshall world. But you guys came to the factory and you voiced the whole thing up the way you wanted, and it seems to be working. We met with a lot of the sales engineers today, and they are dying over the amp.
Yeah, man. I found like my sounds that I liked on it, and then as I'm watching some of the sales engineers play it and some of the stuff, it's like I'm going, I never thought of that.
Well, there's a lot there.
Which is great, man.
There's a lot there. Have you played one at a gig yet?
I've not.
Well,
I need
Don,
to.
I'm asking you to do that. Call me. Will you call me?
I will, man. I've got gigs this weekend.
Well, please.
All right. The thing that I think is really interesting is that the reverb has got that kind of halo thing. It's not splashy. It's really smooth. And the front end of the amp, like the whole clean channel side, is very glassy and full sounding, but it doesn't sound scooped or smushy or any of that, man. It's still got plenty of punch to it.
Why don't we go through each of the knobs?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, so the bright switch is usable, which I fought for.
Yeah.
It's dead clean somewhere from a third down. You
Right.
start to get a little teeny bit of breakup in here. The reverb, we went through every tank made, and we found the one we liked.
Seeing it, it's a smaller tank, and I was surprised at how big it sounds, man.
The longer tanks were... But we just went on for 10 seconds. It was 10 seconds ago. It was a long time ago in a solo, right?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of gain, but you can get more gain by turning the first one up too, right?
Right.
And then this is a submaster, really.
Yeah.
So this is what's driving that. If you've got the master way down, you could turn this all the way up and it's not going to get real loud. If you turn the master all the way up, this is going to decide how loud the distortion is. Treble, mid, and bass are normal. There's no presence control. So a presence control is adding mid-range, high mids, and treble to the power amp. And we thought that this thing sounded so good the way that it was, we didn't want to touch it. There is no presence on a super reverb.
Right.
But there was one on a high-powered tweed twin, which means there's one on a Marshall, right?
Right.
And then at some point, Dumble started to play with those. Originally, he had an accent switch, which turned the presence all the way on and was a switch. And then he started to make it a knob. It's fascinating to be inside Dumble's and learn what he was thinking. As far as I can tell, he was an optometrist. He was like, better, worse, better, worse, better, worse. When they do the lenses?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how this was done with our decisions, not with his decisions.
Right. Again, every guitar retains its voice, and it's super versatile. And this post-phase inverter master is like just brilliant, man. It's really good.
That's an old train wreck design that Doug Sewell has modified and done for a very, really, really long time. Look, if you steal from one spot, it's stealing. If you steal from 50 spots, it's research.
It's research, exactly.
So, I see myself as a student of guitars and a student of amplifiers and speakers and all kinds of stuff. I really enjoy good tones. I enjoy miking it up in the studio and not having to play with the EQ to get it to sound good. I enjoy that very, very much. And this thing seems to work for that.
It sure does, man. Paul, I appreciate your relentless, like, just drive to get it right, man, and to understand and to know and to, like, put it out there. I love that, man. I really do. Seriously.
So we're going to be able to modify the internal parts in this format for a long time. This is the beginning.
Yeah, not just a one-off.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it's a one. I don't think this is
cool.
a one-off at all.
That's
this is
cool.
not an accident. We painfully went through everything. All right.
Thank you, sir. Some closing thoughts. The Tempest offers something unique. A round, shimmery, classic clean voice combined with a punchy, fat, articulate gain channel, reverb, effects loop, incredible levels of control, and an immaculate build quality. This amp obviously is not for everybody, but if you like what you've heard and seen and you know what you're trying to achieve, the Tempest is an amazing tool for helping bring your voice to life. Thanks for checking out the PRS Tempest with me. If you have any questions about this or any other PRS product, make sure to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer or check us out at sweetwater.com.